Hey, what's going on, guys? Krusty K's here. Give me 1 second. Had to do that for the peeps. But Krusty K's here from GoldBoys Network. We're gonna go over the MLB slate for today. If you guys got any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. You can get all these odds at FanDuel Sportsbook. But let's jump right into this one. So the first one, the Mets taking on the Pirates. For me in this one, it's going to be the Mets on the money line here. I like Mania enough to get behind him in this game. It's really more just a fate of the Pirates offense, truthfully. Luis Ortiz has been pretty good this season. So, I mean, I do expect him to pitch relatively well. Do expect this one to be low scoring. But for me, it's going to be the Mets here. I reluctantly trust their bats, even though I'm pretty sure every time I've ever backed Lindor, he's gone like 0 for 4. But give me the Mets here on the money line in this one. Nemo Green, Judge Gunner. Well, Nemo's in this game. I mean, again, Brandon Nemo's a guy who, for me, he's never done me well. But I mean, when you look at the numbers, he looks really good in this spot. I do like Nemo in this spot, but just not a guy who I've ever had any success backing. So, I mean, you want to back Nemo? I'm all for it. Yep. Our next game, the Phillies taking on the Braves. This is Michael Mercado versus Ronaldo Lopez. I absolutely love the Braves in this spot. I mean, you get the Phillies here who just missing, their big bats still, and for me, it's tough to get behind that team. The Braves minus 165 on the money line. I felt like it was a little short, truthfully, but I mean, it's the Phillies. I think they get a little bit of a line respect here. I just love Ronaldo Lopez. This guy's just been an absolute wagon for this Braves team. Continues to go out and take the ball every 5 days. Just continues to pitch well. So for me, it's Braves or nothing here. I think he pitches really well. One thing to note is there's some pretty high heat here in this game. So we saw it in the Nationals game yesterday. Those pitchers really struggled through those high temperatures. So it would definitely be something to watch. Ronaldo Lopez is always a guy that they're a bit careful with. But ultimately, I do think he pitches well, and I do believe they get the win here. This Phillies lineup, like I said, is just too far down for me to get behind them here. I see that. Yeah. So while I'm going through these games, guys, if you have questions for each individual game, just drop them in the chat, and then my boy James will give them to me, and I can answer them for you guys. So the next one, the Cardinals taking on the Washington Nationals. Kyle Gibson versus DJ Hers. I'm a big DJ Hers believer. I like the Nationals here. He's a guy who hasn't been efficient. If you've looked at his logs or anything, he's only gone in the 5th inning, I believe, twice this season. I do worry about that a bit, but I like him in this spot. This is the Cardinals team who's never seen him, so I do think he pitches relatively well. Kyle Gibson's a guy we talk about all the time. He's going to go out. He's going to give you 6 innings. It's just a matter of how many runs he's going to give up in the process. Another game with some high temperatures, so definitely something to be aware of there. I was talking to somebody the other day about these high temperature games, and a lot of times you look at the under pitching outs for these pitchers. It tends to come in because these guys just have a hard time being efficient in the high temperatures. So you see it all the time. They start to get tired, start to miss spots. Pitch count gets up, and these guys, very rarely pitch into the 6th inning in these high temperature games. So a big reason why I'm back in the Nationals here. The Cardinals over the last 30 days against lefties just not hitting well. WRC plus below 100. And for me, that's enough to back Hers. We've seen him pitch in some spots. His stuff is good. It's just a matter of if he's going to have the command or not. But like I said, going up against Kyle Gibson, I'm going to back the better pitcher here. I don't love the Nationals lineup, but Kyle Gibson seems to always go up a few runs to everybody. So give me the Nationals my line. Oh, Lisa in the chat. Welcome, welcome. Hey, can you go type in my channel real fast? Thanks. Our next one, Chicago White Sox, best team in the entire world, taking on the Miami Marlins. This is Jonathan Cannon versus Edward Cabrera. So Edward Cabrera back from injury. Looked pretty good in his rehab starts through 67 pitches. I imagine he's good for about 80 here. I do like the Marlins on the money line. This is really a fade of Jonathan Cannon more than anything else. This guy's given a lot of hard contact lately. You get a Marlins team who's not hitting righties well, if you look at the numbers, but they do a lot of bad on ball. So when you're putting balls in play against Cannon, typically it is hard contact, and they do have guys on Miami who do hit the ball hard. So I like them to get some runs here. I think Edward Cabrera just absolutely mows through this White Sox lineup. Pedro Grifol continues to just ignore analytics, and he's putting 8 right-handed bats out against Edward Cabrera. Why you would ever do that, I don't know. For those who don't know, Edward Cabrera against righties is borderline unhittable. K percent this season is around 43%. Last season was like 38. So he is unbelievable against right-handed hitters. Really like him in this spot. Yes, I still like the Twins in my top 3 without Miranda. It's really just a fade of Arrighetti, truthfully. Our next one, the Detroit Tigers taking on the Cincinnati Reds. I absolutely love the Tigers here. I know everybody sees lefties versus the Reds and they want to back them, but this is a spot where I have attacked numerous times. The Reds, when you look at the lefties they faced, it comes down to guys like Bailey Falter twice, James Paxton, I believe he's on there twice. There's a lot of not good lefties, truthfully, a lot of high contact, a lot of low K. And now you're going to face Skubal, who we all know is one of the best lefties in all of baseball. We backed Rodon against them and found success. We backed Cole Reagans against them and had success. This is no different for me. So Tigers in the first 5. I do lean full game for them as well. I just don't like backing the Tigers offense, truthfully. That's really the hardest thing about this entire game. But I think Skubal has his way with this lineup. This is a team that hasn't seen a lot of power pitchers, period. And when they have seen power pitchers, particularly power lefties, they really struggled. Graham Ashcraft on their side, I mean, for whatever reason, the first time through the order, he's like the most elite pitcher in baseball. I don't know if anybody's ever looked at that. But beyond that, the wheels started to fall off. So, I mean, this Tigers team, they got a lot of lefties. They just brought Parker Meadows back. So this is a really good spot for them, in my opinion. I think they can get us a run or two to get us across the finish line in this first 5. And I think Skubal K's, 100% in play here. 7.5 is a little tough to get behind, but I did see their lineup, and they put Dunn and Wins in, which I was a little surprised. They're also starting Will Benson against a lefty, which I thought was kind of hilarious. So Skubal K's, like I said, I think it's a great look. But the Tigers in the first 5 on the money line, I absolutely love that. Our next one, the San Francisco Giants taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Hayden Birdsong versus Carlos Carrasco. I like the Guardians here. I talked about it a bit in the video. For me here, Birdsong is a guy I like to back. I've talked about him at both starts. His stuff is really good. But you're getting a Cleveland team here who's doing a really good job against righties, a really good job of putting the ball in play, and they have a lot of lefties who hit the ball extremely hard. So this is just a brutal matchup for him. And his big bugaboo when he was in the minors was control. And you're getting a Cleveland team who literally makes you put it in the zone. So if he's missing his spots, if he's walking guys, he's going to find himself in some problems. And this team has the guys to really take advantage of those spots. So I really think Cleveland gets it done, even with Carrasco on the mound, who's definitely not somebody who I'm running to back. But I think it's Cleveland or nothing here. I think this is a bit of a wake-up call for the rookie. Click, click, click. That's got to be James. I'm not clicking nothing. Our next one, the Houston Astros take on the Minnesota Twins. Spencer Arrighetti versus Simeon Woods Richardson. I love the Twins in this spot. Money line has gotten a bit juiced since we recorded. It's up to minus 150 now, but I still love it. Arrighetti's a guy, gives up a lot of hard contact. We've seen it. The command is absolutely awful. Fastball gets absolutely tagged. And this is the Twins team who, for whatever reason, they don't strike out at all anymore. Probably one of the lowest K rates in all of baseball. And ultimately, I think they can get to Arrighetti here. Like I said, he's going to put guys on, and this team's been driving those guys in. So this is a tough spot for him, and I think we likely see. I would say the Twins team total is another option if you're not comfortable backing Woods Richardson. But for me, Woods Richardson's a guy who's going to go out there for 5 innings, and if you can give us a solid 5, you're going to turn over this Twins bullpen, and that's really where I think we just kind of settle in. Plus, Jordan, I believe he is out. Took that ball off the knee yesterday, so I highly doubt he's in the lineup today. My top 3 first 5 inning plays. Top 3 first 5 inning plays, I would say the Tigers are number 1 for sure. Number 2, I would say I like the first 5 under in the Angels Cubs. And then number 3, I would say the Padres first 5 money line. Backing Cease. Our next one, the Angels taking on the Cubs. Jose Soriano versus Hayden Wesneski. I like Jose Soriano a lot. This is a guy who's got really good stuff. When he first started out this season, he was really looking for punch outs, wasting a lot of pitches. He's gotten a bit better about it. Definitely pitching more to contact now. He throws a sinker that's right around 100 miles an hour, so obviously you're going to get a lot of weak contact with that. This Cubs team has been really bad at the plate versus righties. Third highest K percent over the last 30 days against right-handed pitching, I believe. And I mean, well, I don't think Soriano's going to pitch necessarily very long. He is second start off injury, and they're going to be pretty careful with him because he is young. I do like him to hold this team in check. The first 5 under is ultimately where I went in this one because Wisniewski's a guy who throws a really good sweeper, and against this Angels team, I think it's going to play extremely well. This Angels lineup, pretty abysmal at the plate as well. You pull the numbers here. So you got the Angels, who are actually dead last against right-handed pitching over the last 2 weeks, WRC plus of 35. And the Cubs, not much better, WRC plus of 73. So they are both bottom 5 against righties. Really, since the spot where pitching kind of takes over, and we see a low-scoring one early, even at Wrigley. Our next one here, the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Texas Rangers. Zach Littell versus Nathan Eovaldi. So Eovaldi's a guy who's burned me. I can't even tell you how many times. But I ultimately did settle on the Rangers here, solely because I just like their lineup better. You get 2 teams here against righties. I mean, Tampa Bay is crushing the ball as of late, but pretty small sample. I'd have to go back quite a bit to actually get a better number, which I will. Yeah, so when you go back 30 days, batting average is just 234. So definitely not great, larger sample size. Texas not much better, unfortunately. But for me, it's more of just a play on, I think Littell gets touched up more likely than Eovaldi does. I don't love this game, probably my least favorite game on the entire slate. So if you're going to ignore me for one, I'd ignore me for this one. But I do think Texas gets it done. I like Eovaldi K's too. Definitely wanted to see the lineup first, though. But this Rays team, especially the bottom half of their batting order, is just absolutely terrible. You're probably talking 4 or 5 guys with K percent right around 30% against righties. So it's a really good spot for Eovaldi to get his strikeouts here. Our next one, the Kansas City Royals, taking on the Colorado Rockies. Brady Singer, and they actually announced a starter for the Rockies finally. It is Tanner Gordon. So I'm going to pull his stuff up for you guys. Ultimately, I like the Royals team total here, even prior to knowing who the starter was going to be. Tanner Gordon is one of the prospects in this Colorado Rockies system. Hasn't really been good in the minors, 4.91 ERA. His xFIP and everything, not much better. So this is a guy who I really think ends up getting tagged here. I'm not really sure what the thought process was with calling him up. It's not like he's a highly sought after prospect where it was like, oh, this is one of our top guys. So I'm a little confused by it, especially because they are seemingly getting a lot of their guys back healthy in terms of their rotation. But I think he struggles here. I think this is a brutal spot, truthfully. You get a high contact team in the Royals. I mean, while they're not really crushing righties at all right now, it's just a spot where, I think this kid's going to be a bit overmatched. Like I said, you pull the numbers. Yeah, his last 5 starts, 5.35 ERA, 1.48 WHIP. So there's nothing about this kid to me that screams success, especially at a hitter-friendly park like Coors. So give me the Royals team total. Sorry, I lost my schedule here. Our next one, the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Oakland Athletics. Grayson Rodriguez versus Mitch Spence. How do you not go to Baltimore here? Grayson Rodriguez, and you guys saw the game yesterday. They got absolutely embarrassed. Cade Pavish had one of the worst starts I've ever seen, and Oakland scored like 19 runs. Just a total offensive explosion for this Oakland team. And truthfully, I think now they come into this one and they get absolutely shut down. Grayson Rodriguez, high whiff pitcher. You're facing a high whiff team. And I think he just kind of has his way with this lineup. He's going to be fastball changeup primarily. It's a pitch mix that Oakland does not do well against. And ultimately, I think, like I said, he just mows through this lineup. Mitch Spence, the guy who actually has been pretty decent for this Oakland team. I definitely can't lie. But, you're getting Baltimore after a game that just got embarrassed, and we know this team is crushing pretty much everything. This could be a tough spot for Mitch Spence. So I do like Baltimore on the money line here. Ultimately, I settled on the Grayson Rodriguez 6Ks and the Orioles money line just to get a more playable line. I believe it was plus 100 when I saw it earlier. I'm not sure what it's at right now, but definitely where I'm going with that. Any nerfy spots you like? I'm not the biggest nerfy guy in the world. I can never seem to get them right. I do like Tigers Reds. I think that one, like I said, Graham Ashcraft, one of those guys who's just really good the first time through the order. So I think we can get C00 there. Um, Other than that, though, earlier, I'm not sure what it's at right now. I would say Toronto, Seattle. I love Barrios, and George Kirby's a guy who at home is just, always seems to be next level. Our next one, the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the San Diego Padres. This is Ryan Nelson versus Dylan Cease. So everybody knows my love for Dylan Cease, and I mean, this is a guy who has not looked very good in his last few starts at all. So I am backing the Padres here. I am backing Cease to have, hopefully a vintage Cease performance. But as much as I'm willing to back Cease, it's more of just a fade of Ryan Nelson. This is a guy who should get tagged by his Padres lineup. I say should because the Padres, if you've ever backed them, you know what I'm talking about. This team could literally flop in every good spot you've ever seen them in, and I wouldn't be surprised. So I do hope they do their jobs here. I do like them to do their jobs here, but would I be surprised if they don't? Not at all. Dylan Cease, over his last, I believe it's like 5 starts, this guy has been getting absolutely tattooed. His biggest issue that I've noticed, I've watched a lot of the starts, he's just leaving stuff, too fat in the zone. And I mean, you're playing these major league teams. I don't care how good your stuff is. If you're leaving it fat in the zone, you're going to get tagged. Like it's that simple. So I do think that that's something that obviously you're going to try and work on with him. I mean, they would hope. And I do think he pitches better here. He's always been better at home. Even with the White Sox, he's better at home. Better with the Padres at home. I like him to have a bounce back here and kind of shut down this Diamondbacks team who, I mean, offensively, they're going to put bat on ball, but they don't necessarily scare me. Over the last 30 days, batting average 267. So, I mean, they definitely are swinging it, but they've always been a bit worse on the road. And I think that kind of comes into play here. Our next one, the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. This is Dallas Keuchel versus Justin Robelski. So this is another young guy here. I will pull his stuff up for you guys because I was looking at it earlier. Obviously, it's fade Dallas Keuchel day. I mean, that's as simple as that. I like the Dodgers team total, regardless of them winning this game. Keuchel kind of fooled us a bit in his last start. He looked actually pretty serviceable, pretty good. But we're not going to put too much into that because, I mean, let's be honest. It was against the Rockies. We're not going to, overvalue that at all. And so you get Robelski here, who, I mean, really high K stuff. If you look at his AAA numbers this season, 14.81 K per 9. So I'm interested to see how that plays in the bigs. I mean, sample size is not the greatest. Pitched in AAA just for, only 2 starts, 10.1 innings. So prior to that, his stuff was pretty average. So I'm not going to put too much stock into that. Excuse me. I do think he pitches pretty well, though. I mean, it's a tough matchup for sure. But whenever you get these young guys who have better stuff, like his FIP is pretty low here. I'll pull it for you guys. So his xFIP is 2.93, which is pretty good. So whenever you get these young guys who do have the better stuff, I do always lean to them pitching well, at least the first time through the order, or as opposed to the guy who's pitching for the Rockies, his stuff's not good. So, it's one of those things I'm not as worried about him pitching well early. This one, though, Robelski has really good stuff. So I do think he pitches well the first time through the order. I do worry about Milwaukee getting to him as he works through it the second time. I don't think that Dave Roberts lets him go a third time. Roberts pretty cautious with his young guys. But I do like Dodgers team total ultimately here because, like I said, I think Keuchel just gets absolutely shelled. We've seen Keuchel in this league, I think, with 4 different teams in the last 4 years. This is a guy who we have faded. I couldn't even tell you how many times, and it's not going to be any different here. Our next one, the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Seattle Mariners. Jose Barrios versus George Kirby. I love Toronto here. I'm a big Barrios guy. One of those guys who, like I said, he just kind of has that dog mentality. I love to back that. He's going to take the ball. He's going to go out there and do what he does. He hasn't really been much of a K guy this season. Not nearly like we've seen in the past. And I think a lot of it is he's just more concerned with pitching deep into games. But when you get a team as bad as Seattle is at the plate, 32.3% K over the last 30 days versus righties, you can't help but look at his strikeouts here. Really think he finds success against this team. Throws a slurve quite a bit, and that's a pitch that this team really struggles with. They pretty much struggle with any breaking pitch. So really think Barrios can get his strikeouts. Ultimately think he just outduels Kirby here. think this thing's going to be pretty low scoring. Wouldn't be surprised if the under does come into play. But I just like Berrios to get his team to win. Pitch better than Kirby in this spot. Kirby, as we all know, lives in the zone a lot. And I mean, against Toronto, talk about inconsistent offense. This is a team that handles the ball pretty well. So maybe we get a random bomb from somebody. That's really what I'm hoping for. But I like the Jays to get it done. Like I said, I expect this thing like 2-1 final score type deal. Don't see a lot of runs here at all. The last one on the slate, the Boston Red Sox taking on the New York Yankees. Sunday Night Baseball. Cutter Crawford versus Luis Hill, whatever you want to call him. I think it's Hill. But for me here, I was really shocked to see the Yankees as favored as they were when this thing opened. It's come back a bit. Yeah, as I look right now, Yankees only minus 130. I believe when I record this, it was like a minus 160. So there is some money coming on the Red Sox, and that's where I'm at. If you've watched Gil pitch, his last like 4 starts, this guy is getting tattooed. His stuff, he's not fooling anybody. He's not throwing competitive pitches. If he gets strike one, a lot of times he's wasting 2-3 pitches before he even finds strike two. And ultimately, he's either walking guys or he's leaving it fat over the plate and getting ripped. So for me here, I think all the values on Boston. Cutter Crawford just continues to impress me. Ever since they changed his pitch mix and he went away from like really throwing any kind of fastball, he's just found a ton of success. So I like him here against this Yankees team. Obviously, it's always scary when you're fading the Yankees, but I just don't think Gil is at any point, right now, worthy of being a favorite. I don't care if the Yankees are at home or not. This guy has just not looked good. It's incredibly tough to get behind him here, and I'm not going to be. So give me Cutter Crawford and the Red Sox to get this one done. I like Gil under his pitching outs. I like him under his Ks. I think he gets shelled here again. You get a Boston team who's hitting righties pretty well over the last 30 days. I mean, the Yankees, on paper, they are hitting pretty well, but I've watched this team, and I don't know, they're kind of in a funk right now. So give me Cutter Crawford to hold this team down in Boston to get it done. I hate their bullpen, but hopefully Gil gives up enough runs where it doesn't matter. Before we hop into this recap, let me send it over to Brad Thomas real quick.
Wait, before we get back to the picks, I wanted to thank you all for watching. Friends don't let friends watch videos without hitting the like button. So go ahead and press the thumbs up button and like the video. If you're new here and not subscribed, you should go ahead and do so because we're dropping new content each and every day on the GoldBoys Network. We strive to cover every sport and give out picks and analysis and valuable information for free on the GoldBoys Network. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell so you can get notified when we drop something new. I'm Brad Thomas. Let's get back to the picks.
So if anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to drop them in the chat. If not, I'll run through my favorite bets from the slate, and we will get on with our day. All right. So just to go over some of the questions we had earlier, I do love the Twins today, regardless of Miranda or no Miranda. I think Arrighetti's in for a rough outing. The Nerfy spots we talked about, the Tigers and the Reds, and then the Mariners and the Blue Jays. And I don't remember the last question. Oh, top 3 first fives. Top 3 first fives, it would be the Tigers. It would be the first 5 under in the Angels Cubs. And then the Padres first 5 on the money line. So that covers all the questions that are asked in chat. Like I said, if you guys have any more while I'm running through my best bets for today, feel free to ask them. If not, that's cool too. So for me, my favorite 3, I love the Twins. We've already talked about that one quite a bit. Just a great spot for them against Arrighetti. I love the Mets. And then I think my third one, I can't remember what the hell it was. But looking at this right now, I absolutely love the Red Sox. Might even like it more than the Twins, truthfully. Just a great spot, and give them a plus money just feels like a ton of value. In terms of props, though, I think my favorite prop of the day, it's disgusting, but I love Jose Barrios strikeouts. Like I said, he's not getting a lot of Ks this season. I think he's only over the number like one of the last 7 starts. But you just can't ignore the matchup, and you can't ignore Seattle against his pitch mix and how bad they are. So really think he finds success in this one. Yeah, if there are no more questions, that will be all for me. As always, you guys get all my official plays at goldboys.com. It's Krusty K's. I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.